people are going to do detox. I think what you should do in all seriousness is to go down to the pharmacy and get a big box of Depends.
Now, that makes that really appealing. And we really need to begin to look at how we socialize. We socialize around food. We socialize around the wrong kinds of food. It's usually around sugary things, sweet treats, soda pops, pizzas, things that are very highly calorically dense.
That jurisdiction of the sheriff is really the most powerful guard and protector of the rights of the people than any other institution our founders created here in these United States of America through our constitutional republic.
People get so flipped out of their mind when we start using this idea of detox, or you want to do a detox, don't they?
Oh, yes. People will call up and say, do I need to take a week off? Do I need to plan for this? Is this something that I need to go to the pharmacy and maybe get some, medication to keep me from having the runs?
No, I think really people are going to do detox. I think what you should do in all seriousness is to go down to the pharmacy and get a big box of Depends.
Now, that makes that really appealing.
No, I'm just kidding. Take a week of vacation, get your Depends, and just feel like being miserable and become homicidal, suicidal. No, it's not like that at all. But people do freak out, don't they?
They do. And we're here to actually take that fear out. Detoxing really, it's designed to help this body function better. And especially the way that we do it in the clinic, or we have people participate with us when we go through our group detoxes on a quarterly basis, it is actually something that is designed to kind of turn the system down a little bit.
Yeah.
Remove the incoming agents from the outside. We call those persistent organic pollutants.
POPs, P-O-P-S for short.
P-O-P-S. And if the body has a lot of these incoming POPs, and it has a very low ability to eliminate, that's called the toxic burden.
Yep.
So the first thing in detoxification is simply decreasing the incoming load. Stop the madness. Just return to a whole nutritional eating plan, which is fresh and raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and good clean proteins, before you go on to any other type of detox. That's phase number one.
Well, it's fascinating with detox too. A lot of people have this weird idea, and we do this as a group, about 4 times a year. So if you're out there and are interested, you need to reach out to us and get hooked up. We have about 900 and some odd people in that group now around the world, and they do it with us quarterly. It's pretty cool because some people are in there and they're kind of veterans, and they can help us now, thank God, talk people off the edge. You know?
And it gives people an accountability partner. And we know that partnering with somebody oftentimes keeps you out of that process of loneliness. And if you have a question, we're there to answer it for you.
When we think about detox, and this is kind of a way to take a very complex process and really simplify it in a way people understand, I've kind of used this little, kind of a bar analogy before. Kind of makes sense. So, let's think about detox think about a bar. Okay, in a bar, you've got people that are coming in. Some might be typical drunks, and some might be potential drunks, and some might just be having a recreational drink. Well, then you got your bouncers, right?
So they have to kind of check out these toxic individuals.
And the bouncers typically know who those people are. They know in advance who those toxic people are, and they keep an eye on them, because if they become drunk, they can become problems, and they have to go, kind of gently ask them to leave, right? They have to sometimes put their gentle arm around them and walk them out the door and escort them out of the business, right? Because they're going to have a problem.
So that's kind of like the enzyme processes in the liver. They're like neutralizing these toxins, if you will.
That's it. So we have this, if you get right down to the technical side of it, overlaying it with that analogy, phase one is really the body's recognition of toxins that are produced inside. Those are called endogenous, endogenous. And then there's these ones that are coming into us from outside, exogenous. They come in from the outside in. And those are everywhere. Right? The list of those is here, and the list of endogenous ones are here.
So that would be the persistent organic pollutant load that's coming in to aggravate these enzymes in the liver, the bouncers in the liver. They have to take control of that so they can neutralize them and get them out.
They do. And things that come in from the outside, not only is it pollutants, it could be just, chemicals in food. It could be things that we're exposed to in water, things that we're exposed to in air, and they load up in our system, and our body goes, hey, I need to pay attention to that, just like a good bar would do. They'd pay attention to their clientele, right? They'd get to know them, maybe by first name, and the more you know who they are, you know how to deal with them. But when that system gets so overloaded, right, our body's really ability to take a toxin, which is generally fat soluble. And what that means is that they like fat. So if they don't get eliminated from the body, they accumulate in fat cells in the body. The brain is mostly fat. So, I think about, that being a home for potential toxins. I think of the obesity crisis that is in America today. Home for potential toxins that aren't getting eliminated. So, when you talk about the detox process, it's really getting these fat-soluble things out of our body by turning them into a water-soluble thing so they can be eliminated, whether it be through the urine or the bowels or even through sweat.
So the ways to do a detox, number one, would be to stop the incoming offending agents.
Totally.
Clean up the system, and then perhaps putting the nutrients on board, like amino acids, a complete amino acid score, and the nutrients that run these enzyme processes in the liver to improve the ability for the body to eliminate them out the bowels or the kidneys.
Exactly. And you got to make sure you're hydrated too, of course. But the body has the ability to do this 24/7, 365. It's not something we turn on and turn off selectively when we want to do a detox. Now, we do a detox that contains like pre-designed shakes for you to have, and it's got a list of foods that you can eat from, and it gives you nutrients that you mentioned in little pill packs. Those are really easy to do. We simplify it for you. When I'm talking about detox, I like the KISS principle. Keep it simple. Silly. I'll use that word instead. But this is really cool because if you have a structured detox like that, you can know what it does and you can go through that. But it's detox is not something to be scared of, is it?
Absolutely not. In fact, 99% of people that go through the detoxification process with it, they actually have testimonies to tell us how much better they feel when they get to the end of the process.
So don't be afraid to feed your body correctly and hydrate it correctly to allow the detox process to work. Don't be scared of detox. Don't go out and get a bunch of Depends, and don't take a week off of work. Just live healthy, let the detox system work well, and it will serve you well.
Stay with us. We're going to talk about specialty testing in functional medicine.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
There's a lot of talk these days about human enhancement.
Terms like biohacking, bioharmonizing, biosynergizing, stacking, resilience, and anti-fragility.
In our clinic, the Functional Medical Institute, we've been helping people of all shapes, sizes, and backgrounds improve their quality of their physiology and maximize their lives.
So, you can follow the latest fads and gimmicks and maybe find some things that work for you.
Or you can add Kingdom Fuel to your daily regimen right now.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
Our unique meal shakes are balanced, low glycemic, rich in fiber with 20 grams of clean protein, essential vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, and organic fruits and vegetables. Kingdom Fuel is vegan with a complete amino acid profile.
No gimmicks, just proven results.
Start today at sherwood.tv/fuel.
Hey there, Kevin Sorbo here. Now, deep down, we know this. We're more than just a brain and a body. We're a spirit, we're a soul, and we're also a physical temple. If you hit the wall when you're trying to improve one aspect of your being, it's probably because, well, other aspects are sabotaging our success. So that's why diets don't work. And frankly, why so much conventional wisdom from our so-called medical establishments falls flat. Doctors Michele and Mark Sherwood have a very different approach. I should know because I happen to be one of their patients. They address the whole person to get to know you, your challenges, and more importantly, what your goals are. Then they offer a complete plan that addresses your unique biology and your heart. They'll help you discover what you need to experience transformation. So find out more at sherwood.tv/sorbo. That's sherwood.tv/sorbo, or see the link before. Now, I'm heading for a workout. You should be going for a workout too. All right, guys. God bless.
You know, we have such a passion with what we do at the Functional Medical Institute of leading people down a pathway of true healing. And one of the things I was just reading here recently is that more than half of the global population will be overweight or obese by 2035, and that's not very far away, with a 4.3 trillion annual cost that is predicted. All I can say is, boy, we have our work cut out for us.
We do, and I've said this before, and it is true, and this is a sad statement. The fastest growing non-communicable disease in the history of this world is not a virus, it's not a bacteria, it's not some malady, it's called obesity. And history proves that. You go back to the maybe early 80s, and I get it, they're using BMI as the measurable, but there was one state, 1 out of 50, that had an obesity rate of greater than 10%, just one. And after the food pyramid and all that mess, and the government started trying to tell you how to do health, which is a whole nother conversation for a different day. But at that moment in time, it took 11 years for all states to go over 10% except one. And now we have multiple states that are over 50 or 60%, including our home state of Oklahoma. It is inexcusable in our system to not recognize that and do something about it, because it does lead to issues. And there's even studies that sort of go along with that about our military. What is it? 75% of them aren't even people, males 18 to 25, are not even fit enough to be able to pass the military test. I mean, this is a bad deal, and it's almost like, I call it kind of the sacred cow syndrome. Nobody wants to deal with it.
Well, you and I want to deal with it.
Yes.
And if we can lead one person to hope, we've been successful, because that person is going to teach the next person, and it's going to lead to a change in a family, which can lead to a change in a community, which can lead to a change in a nation, and generation after generation. We got to kind of dig ourselves out of this hole, but we can't change what we don't know. And we really need to begin to look at how we socialize. We socialize around food. We socialize around the wrong kinds of food. It's usually around sugary things, sweet treats, soda pops, pizzas, things that are very highly calorically dense, instead of around fresh and raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and good clean proteins, and maybe having, water with a little bit of flavored stevia in it that has no caloric content to it that's going to add to that thing called obesity.
Well, and people, when they're depressed, we've talked about that in the past. They go down the pathway of looking for food to bring medication. I mean, I'm thinking about that movie, The Whale, with Brendan Fraser.
Oh,
He won a
that was
bunch
a
of
good one.
awards on that one, but
Definitely don't want to get to that place.
tragedy in his life in that movie led him down the pathway of utilizing this food as medicine. It didn't medicate him at all. He got bigger and bigger, larger, and eventually he died because of this. And people are dying every day. That number, $4.3 trillion affecting our debt, what would it be like if we were to erase that? Further, did you know the second leading comorbidity to a mortality of COVID was obesity?
Well, it's an inflammatory disease. Obesity actually has its own ICD-10 code now. And obesity is leading to heart disease. It's leading to high blood pressure. It's leading to other autoimmune diseases, because it's a state of toxicity. It's a state of loading the system down with excessive amounts of pressure on it that we really don't need to have. But we've taken exercise out of schools. We've become a sedentary society. We don't go out and play in the backyards and ride our bikes and, play in the streets anymore. It's quite frankly not quite a safe place to play anymore.
No, and you're seeing society, and even it's leaning into Hollywood right now, starting to normalize that thing called obesity. Instead of looking at it like shock, and this is not a criticism on anyone that's struggling with weight, because people do, I used to, but the point being is that it is not a healthy place to be, and it leads to a cascade of a whole host of illnesses and problems. We've got to eliminate that. I said this as recently as today. America's enemy is not outer forces, it's ourself, and we've allowed this these conceived, self-chosen disease processes like obesity to become normalized in America. It's normal in government, church, and medicine, and nobody wants to deal with the cause. I mean, we do. We deal with the cause. We see it go reversed.
So give our listeners just a couple pointers on how they can take charge of obesity in their life.
Well, number one, you got to eat real food, right? If this is real food. Processed food is not real food. So
it's unfood.
It's unfood. It's frankenfood or fruit, we call it, we help you with that, right? We give you food to eat, and we don't allow you to have a diet. In other words, we tell you, like, all these foods, you can eat it. Have as much as you want.
It's not about calorie restriction. It's about food restriction and getting the things out of the system that are inflammatory, that suppress the metabolism.
Not deprivation like a diet, but abundance is what we teach people.
And motivation to eat the right things.
Yeah, and we get people moving. We get them their mind out of the gutter. In other words, get out their mind out of these diets or quick fix. Weight loss, or lack of obesity, you might say, is this idea of a symptom of following a process that makes sense. And so we lead people down a process that makes sense, and then body composition adjustment or lower body fat and muscle maintenance becomes something that just happens.
That's right. So you can find us on Sherwood.tv, find out about our plans and how we can help you and your family thrive.
Yeah, there's no reason to be allowing obesity to affect your home. Just reach out to us and we'll teach you what we know and show you the pathway to true healing.
Let's get real. Most emergency food is just as bad for you as any other choice in the standard American diet. And that's just sad.
We don't just need food. We need highly nutritional food.
We don't just want to survive food shortages. We are meant to thrive in adversity.
Complete your daily nutrition and have shelf-stable Kingdom Fuel as a cornerstone of your food supply.
Don't sacrifice your health. or your taste buds.
Stock up on Kingdom Fuel now.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
We have a brand new documentary out called Non-Compliant to the Sheriff. Now, our first documentary, Non-Compliant, and our second documentary, Non-Compliant 2, are both available at noncompliantmovie.com. The first documentary is all about the duty and the role of the state to be a check and balance on the federal government, state and local government. So if you haven't seen that yet, let me please recommend that you go to noncompliantmovie.com and watch the first documentary, available to you at no cost. It is going to be life-changing, and we have hundreds of thousands of 5-star reviews and people all over the world sending us messages about how this message is so life-changing. And it's a global message because, really, it's about your inherent rights. It's about why government is designed for one purpose. The purpose is to secure your rights, and how our founders put together our governments in order to retain the power by the people to be a check and balance on government through state and local government. And from that, we were inspired to create Non-Compliant to the Sheriff. Now, I have been for nearly a decade, traveling around the country, teaching sheriffs and deputies a 3-hour continuing education course, all about the role and the duty of the sheriff, the history of the sheriff's role and duty to secure our rights, not to violate them. We have a whole section on the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, what our sheriffs and their deputies need to know not to be sued. And then we have a section on the jurisdiction of the sheriff, which is so incredibly important. That jurisdiction of the sheriff is really the most powerful guard and protector of the rights of the people than any other institution our founders created here in these United States of America through our constitutional republic. And it's from that course that I had sheriffs telling me, this is inspirational. What you've taught us in these 3 hours is just simply life-changing. As a matter of fact, I've taught this at big conferences where I taught the sheriffs of 17 states all at one time. And I had sheriffs coming up to me immediately before I even got off the stage saying, I've been on the phone changing policies already based on what we learned from you. And we thought to ourselves, you know what? We need the people to know this information. We need the people to know this, number one, so that they can make sure the candidates they have for sheriff know the proper role and duty of the sheriff, so we can be sure to have constitutionally minded sheriffs. Number two, because if you have a constitutional sheriff, if the body of the people are not in support of that sheriff cannot be who they want to be and who they're required to be. And number three, it empowers sheriffs who already have that inclination. In a world that is full of propaganda like defund the police and all of our law enforcement is evil. You see it all over the news. You see wicked politicians propagating this stuff. We knew we had to create non-compliant to the sheriff to show people what's really happening at the level of the sheriff that the media will not show you. There are sheriffs all over America who are standing up in defiance of unconstitutional laws and orders and edicts, in defense of the property rights of the people, and they've been doing this for years. But the politicians and the media do not want you to know this. They do not want you to know what sheriffs are doing successfully, regularly, to stand for people's rights, because this is how government's supposed to really, really work. Now, what we do with non-compliant too is we take two real-life situations, two events that actually happened. A pastor who refused to shut down his church over COVID, and a sheriff who arrested him for it. And a pastor who refused to shut down for COVID, and a sheriff who said, I'll go to jail to keep you open. And how this two incidents actually impacted and changed their states, and even all of these United States, all boiled down to what a sheriff would or would not do. This film is brand new, available at noncompliantmovie.com only right now. Pretty soon we're going to make it available on DVD, so maybe by the time you see this, it will be available on DVD at noncompliantmovie.com. But we're already getting messages about how this is life-changing. And to be honest, if you share this with your sheriff might be one who has watched this movie and come back to us and asked us to come and train their deputies. noncompliantmovie.com. It will be life-changing.
How can boosting your daily nutrition save you money? I'm Dr. Michele Sherwood.
And I'm Dr. Mark Sherwood. Kingdom Fuel costs about a third of the average lunch and will supersize your nutrition.
Our unique meal shakes are balanced, low glycemic, rich in fiber with 20 grams of clean protein, essential vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, and organic fruits and vegetables.
Kingdom Fuel is a simple start to a transformed life.